I got no balls to pick with you.
A lot of things that we've talked about in the past, where we've gone and we've talked about men's mental health. Kind of ironically, we went and one of the last episodes we put out was on men's mental health, on anxiety and depression, and next thing you know, both you and I were facing anxiety and depression for the next 9 months.
Yeah,
thereabouts, on and off.
I mean, me and you have suffered. I mean, we've had many talks. Me and you both have suffered from mental health issues. Me, my entire life.
Yeah.
Right? Since I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
I've had issues. And I know for at least a number of years you've also had issues. So
yeah, fair amount.
And I think with what you said about our last show being about mental health, right?
Yeah.
And the PTSD show we did like a couple of years ago, and we always got really good responses, and a lot of guys coming and saying like, "Thank you for doing this."
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where this idea, like maybe it's time that, or not time. I know it's been done, but maybe that's our thing. Maybe we need to get out there and talk for and with men.
Absolutely.
Right? Make them feel better about the fact that you're not the only one, dude.
No.
You're not the only one.
No, exactly.
Welcome to the club. Right?
Yeah. No, and like I know that we plan on looking at a few other things that, aren't necessarily just straight men related, but of course we're going to have our little spin on it, if you will. We're going to go out, we're going to visit with different people in different let's say cultures, to find out about what's going on there, and maybe talk about what a man's life is in that particular culture.
Yeah.
And what's all going on. Now, I'm sure people are wondering, well, what's up with the big change? As I said, we went off the air for damn near 9 months, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was a long time.
There have been a lot of things affecting us. We tried to make a comeback at one point there and tried to switch things up, try to make things a little more fun, because we're really, really getting into the politics of things. And that was completely disheartening. It took us right down a very dark path that we didn't like, and ultimately it affected us in a great way. Now, I do want to touch on the fact that, the last 2 podcasts that we have put out have been on the convoy and what's been going on. Right? We went and my whole thought was, well, first off, for myself, I needed to experience this. Right? It was a very personal thing to me. But I also wanted to go and show what the mainstream media wasn't showing. Right? Now, I will fully say right now that just dealing with the whole convoy and the politics around it, right there, I was already starting to go back down a bad path.
Yeah, it was sucking you down that rabbit hole.
It was, for sure. Yeah. Like I've had relatives come up to me and go, "Okay, Greg, don't you think you might want to take a break from this?" As I'm going, as I'm still scanning through fucking TikTok, watching all the videos about what's going on, what Trudeau's done now, and it's not a good thing for me. It really isn't, and it's not a good thing for us with this podcast, because it affects us both in a huge, huge way.
And I don't think it's a good thing for anybody. Like, I look at a lot of people now, especially with phones, they get up and the first thing they'll do is they'll go to their news feed. Yeah. Whether it's on Facebook, TikTok, or just news in general.
Yeah.
And 98% of what you see is end of times news. Like,
absolutely,
everything's shit, everything's garbage, the world is crap, it's a dark place, everybody's mean, everybody's evil, everybody's racist.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so easy especially when you start your day.
Yes.
With that. Right? Mm-hmm. It just puts you in that mood.
It does, very much so.
And you start to look at everybody like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like suddenly it becomes this, well, what side of this are you on?
Yeah.
And I know we always talk about the fact that we allow everybody to have their own personal input, their own personal, choices and what they believe and what side they sit on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the back of your head, when you're so passionate about something, like
Absolutely.
you're so passionate about the convoy and what's going on.
Yeah.
And, if I came along and said, well, okay, Greg, but like, let's look at this. And then I come with something on the other side.
Yeah.
You can say, that's fine, we're still friends. And yeah, we'll still be friends, but it's also going to irritate the shit out of you.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to, because you're so passionate about it.
Absolutely.
Right? And, again, that's going to put a crimp, at least it's a slight crimp on our relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's going to always be in your back of your head that, why would Nathan think that?
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, how does he think that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And, like I say, we're still going to be friends. We're still going to do stuff, but there's always going to be that little...
Yeah. Are you really there?
Really?
Are you really with me?
Yeah. Like, yeah. So, and that's what so many people are caught up in this.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
the convoy and everything else that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And that's why we got to make this change. We have to make this change so that we don't get sucked down that bad path, right? Mm-hmm. We need to be going and looking at other things, because over this past year, both you and I, we've dealt with a lot of personal issues. Like, we put out that podcast, and I think there was another podcast that we had actually filmed, and it was, I was up to go and do the editing and get ready to put it out, and I just couldn't get into it. I could not do it. Luckily it was like, I think a Snack Crate one or something like that. There was nothing serious being talked about other than, crappy treats from another country.
Yeah.
But, I had gone down a bad path at that point in time, and the depression hit me, and it hit me really, really hard. Like, I was stuck on the couch for the better part of a few weeks.
Now, how long have you had depression? Like, through your lifetime, like, what age did you first notice, like, holy shit?
I've been dealing with it now for about 20 years.
Okay, so since your early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s.
Okay.
Basically, once I got out of Afghanistan, that's when things started going bad for me. So 2003 and 2006, that's when things.
So when you got home from your tours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because see, like, I've had depression, so I was actually diagnosed with depression. They called it childhood depression.
Yeah.
When I was in grade 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had battles with my mental health since. So, and it's always been depression and anxiety for me. And there's times, there's times in my life where I've been fine. But when I hit the shit, I hit it, and I hit it hard.
Oh, for sure.
And it takes me a long time. And I've played all the games, right? Like, I've done the therapy, I've done the medications, I've done, but there's very little that helps me when I'm in that situation other than time. So, yeah. But yours was more like related. Was it related solely to the tours?
Yeah, it was basically because of the PTSD, right? I had the PTSD, and then I got the anxiety and depression out of that.
Right.
The two common things that, really affect, PTSD.
Yeah. Well, they're almost part and parcel of each other, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No. And so, as I said, like, I was on the couch for like the better part of a few weeks, and, I just had no interest to go out and do anything. Everything was just absolutely horrible. I just couldn't get up. I couldn't get up, and I couldn't deal with the world. The world had gotten to me, and I just had enough. I had a few other personal things that were going on in my life at the time there as well. Trying to find a job.
You were going to school.
Actually, I'd finished school by then.
But I mean, you had just gotten through that where, like, you left the job that was secure.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. By choice.
Yes.
Right? But it was, there was a lot of the job that you didn't like, but at the same time, like the money part of it, the work, it was secure.
Absolutely.
Right? And you were taking that risk because of your unhappiness to leave a very secure job at the age of 40.
Yeah.
Right? And there's and again, this is something, right, when we talk about this channel, like there are so many men right now between like late 30s and early 50s that are so strained by their jobs. You know, it causes them so much stress, so much depression, so much whatever. Yeah. And they're looking for that jump, but they're terrified. They're terrified to do it. Yeah. But you did it.
Yes.
You're like, you know what? No, this is too much. I'm done. I'm going to go back to school at 40 years old. I'm going to get my university degree. Yep. And go blind, basically. Like, I know you had a plan. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but we all know what they say about best laid plans, right? Yeah. So, you know, you took that huge risk. So that definitely played a part, I think, in your anxiety levels and stress levels. And
it absolutely did. It absolutely did. But like as I said, though, you know, because I was so stressed out about it, I couldn't do anything. I just sat there. You know, people are like, well, just get up and go for it. Go do this. Go do that. Unfortunately, folks, that's not the way it works.
It's funny.
You can't just suck it the fuck up.
And that's people, you know, that don't have issues with depression, anxiety, mental health in general, whatever your mental health is, illness is. People that don't have it don't understand.
No.
Right? That's what they say. Well, you just got to get moving.
Yeah.
But, you know, I often, like, you know, like I counseled for years. Yeah. Right? Which, in hindsight, was probably a bad plan for me. And I've been told that many times over the last couple of years that, listen, like, when you have your own skeletons and your own issues, it's very difficult when you have to hear all day long other people. Right? It's a trigger. It's a like it brings you down as opposed to keeping you up. Yeah. So, but the big thing was, you know, I always told people, like when families would ask me when they had a family member that had really severe depression or some mental illness, usually like depression, let's say, I'm going to use it as an example, they'd be like, well, I don't understand. Yeah. Like we all get sad, we all get tired, we keep moving. And I said, yeah, but it's an illness. Mm-hmm. And when you ask somebody with an illness to just forget their illness, like would you look at somebody who is has cancer and is on chemo, right, sicker than a dog, losing all their weight, no immune system, no energy, would you just look at them and say, well, get up and just get moving?
Yeah, go for a run.
Like, come on, man. Like, what's wrong with you? Get moving.
Yeah, it like, really doesn't.
It's
doesn't
an
work
illness.
That way.
It's an illness.
Yeah.
You're sick.
Yeah.
Right?
And the effort that you have to put in to, like, for myself, just to get up off that couch and go, okay, like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm done living like this. I don't want to, you know, just be stuck on the couch all fucking day. I'm done doing this. And you go and you push yourself and push yourself. You say to yourself that first thing when you get up that morning, you're like, today's the day. I'm going to get up off that couch. I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. You make out some plans and you're like, I'm going to go. And then next thing you know, you found yourself on that couch because you're just like, I just can't. I can't.
Well, that's the thing. Like I always told people first, like family members or loved ones or whoever, I would say, stop trying to understand. Yeah. Unless you've had it happen, you will never understand. Yeah. It's like when you went on tour. Yeah. Okay. I can sit back and say, wow, that must have been stressful. Yeah. Or that must have been awful. Mm-hmm. But I can never understand. No. Because I've never been there.
Exactly.
Right? And it's the same thing. So I say, don't try to understand that person. If you have somebody that you love, that or a family member or whatever, that is mentally ill, stop trying to understand. Yeah. Because you never will.
No, just be empathetic to them.
Be empathetic and be supportive. Yeah. But also, you know, I used to say, like, especially with depression, I said, you'll never know unless you experience. But I said, I'll give you something close. Mm-hmm. I said, don't eat. Yeah. And don't sleep for about 3 or 4 days. Yeah. Like, eat very little, like, so you don't die. Yeah. But, you know, eat as little
as... Triscuit or two.
Yeah. Eat as little as possible and don't sleep. Yeah. And then strap a 100-pound knapsack to your back. Yeah. And then go to work. Yeah. And get through your day. Yeah. That's what it's like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
By day 5, you will understand what it is like to have major depressive disorder.
Yeah.
At least you'll have somewhat of a glimpse, because that's what it feels like. It feels like you have the weight of the world on you.
Yeah.
You have exactly zero energy. You are exhausted beyond anything.
Yeah.
Right? Your legs feel like rubber, like they can't move you forward.
Yep. Check.
Right? So, yeah, like, and then you're just going to tell a person that has that, like, an illness, like they have, like, some type of actual, like, it is an actual illness, but you know what I mean? Like, ones that people register with. Like, oh, you poor person, you have cancer.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you poor person, you have this or that, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, even though in our society we sit back and say, well, people are understanding mental health now. Mm-hmm. No, they're not.
No.
They don't get it.
No.
Right? So...
Yeah, no, and it was brutal because, as I said, it took me quite a few weeks to get over that, and then get up. And it wasn't just to wake up the one day and away I went. It took a while. It took a while to get it going. And, there was suddenly a little bit of hope in my life. I found that there was a little bit of hope. Things were going along pretty good, and I did start to feel a little bit better. But I had a lot of anxiety because there was other things that were coming up. I finally went and I got a job interview. And I did the job interview. I rocked the job interview, and things went really well. I ended up getting hired as a community relations coordinator for a nonprofit organization. And the organization was absolutely fantastic. It really was. I enjoyed who I was working with, and it was really good because I was actually being treated like a human being at that point in time. I really was, as compared to my other jobs, right? Like, I had some good friends that I worked with, while I was in the other jobs, but the whole atmosphere overall sucked.
Right.
This one was a lot better, and I was happy. I was getting up in the morning, going to work, but it was also a new thing for me, because now I was actually working from home, which was completely new and was fairly difficult for me to try to comprehend and understand, what was going on and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I know around that time there, I was feeling much better, but then you went and you hit a slump at that point in time. You had stuff that was on the go, and it was just like, okay, well, give me a call if you need anything, because... Unfortunately, that's the thing. We have to drag ourselves out of this shit. You can't really have other people drag you back to feeling better. People can help in a way, but for the most part, it's up to you.
Yeah, and I hit a wall. Yeah. My profession, which unfortunately at this point, I think I have to change.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been battling with for quite a while now, because for over 20 years, my profession has been to help people.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to take somebody that's in a really dark place in their life and bring them back into the light.
Yeah.
Right? And move forward in life and start to feel like a human being again. Mm-hmm. And the jobs I've had doing that, for quite a while, I managed treatment homes for youth, between the ages of 14 and 18, basically, and really coming from awful backgrounds.
Yeah.
Just awful backgrounds, right? Like things that if you grew up in a decent home with decent parents, you couldn't even fathom.
Yeah.
The things that these kids went through growing up, like just almost to the point it makes you sick to your stomach, and you get cold.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or at least you think you get cold to it.
Yeah.
Right? So you start to read the files, you start to meet these youth, and you look at their stories, and as you see more and more stories, they're god awful, but you start to not feel it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't feel sorry for them. You don't. It's just another one. It's almost like it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Oh well, this is normal. Or you compare it to 3 children ago that went through this, and like, well, that's all you went through. Like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it starts to become a really bad place. I don't think a place where your brain as a human should be allowed to sit.
No.
That coldness to everything, right? And then, you know, after that, I went and I started working with newcomers. Mm-hmm. So people that had, again, experienced like things that, unless you grew up in that country and went through those wars and like just like things I don't even want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so, you can't believe the ability other human beings, what they're able to do to another human being. And, you know, the torture that people go through and things that happen to them. And, you know, again, like, I think I pretended I was cold.
Right.
Like, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to feel sorry for you.
No.
I'm not here to cry with you. Right? I'm here to move you forward, and let's get you going.
Yeah.
Right? Because, oh, you should feel lucky that you're here now, whether it was in a treatment home where you're safe, or whether it's you got out of whatever country you came from and you escaped it and now you're here. So you should feel lucky and let's get you moving.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
Right? So I hit a wall. And, you know, a burnout, you can call it burnout, I guess, if you want, but basically I got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore.
No.
Like, I couldn't hear one more story. I couldn't deal with one more person in that situation. It exhausted me thinking about it to the point where when I was in my office, I would fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I had a really nice coworker that worked in the same office as me who used to literally, like, leave the office and turn out the light.
Yeah.
When I'd fall asleep. And it wasn't because that was my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
My brain shut down because it said, you're done.
Yeah.
You can't do this anymore. We're done. So anytime I tried to do it, my body's reaction would be just shut down. You're done. Go to sleep.
Yeah. No, and that's no way to live. But unfortunately, you know, that is our lives. You know, and no, it sucks. It really does. It really does. And like what I find for myself, going through the depression and anxiety, it goes in cycles for me.
Yes.
It goes in cycles quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we had the springtime there. I was going through a major depression. And then I felt better. I was going through some happy stuff. You were not going through so much happy stuff. Well, then I think just as you were getting over it, you know, or not getting over it, but being able to pick yourself up and carry on, that's when I started to get into another cycle. And I got to tell you, this cycle that I ended up going through was by far the worst cycle that I'd ever been through. The depression hit me extremely hard. And I can't say that it's not that I didn't have any reason to be going through depression. Like, there was some stuff that was going on that, you know, really helped to trigger the stuff. Mm. But at the same time, I had a decent job. I was doing something that I love doing. I was talking to some interesting people, you know, doing the job there that I had. But I would finish up work and then just boom, back to the couch, and I just crash right there.
But that's the thing with when you're mentally ill, when you're suffering from mental illness, yeah, sometimes it's your depression, anxiety, or whatever it is triggered by an event.
Yeah.
Right? But quite often it's not.
No.
It just comes out of nowhere. You can be going through the most amazing time of your life, like
Absolutely.
Everything in place. Your family's happy, your marriage is perfect, your job, your career is going so well, you're at the top of it, you're enjoying going to work, everything, and it just kicks you in the nuts.
Yeah.
And that's the cycle. And all of a sudden, you feel like everything is shit.
Oh, yeah.
And you get so mad at yourself because you're like, why do I feel like this? Everything is so perfect right now, and this is how I feel?
Yeah, and then you tend to spiral down even further.
Right, and that causes that spiral down, 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 down.
Yeah.
right? Like, we're not talking like there's situational depression, right? Like, we're not like situational depression is like people that like say, well, I've been depressed because I got depressed when my dog died.
Yes.
That's a situation. Yes, that's called grieving.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, that can cycle into like some sort of a depression that can last for a little while, but normally with a little bit of counseling or maybe a little bit of a happy pill, you can get yourself back up to where you are and then just go back to life as normal.
Yeah.
That's not mental illness.
No.
You're not mentally ill.
No.
Right?
You're sad.
You're sad. You're sad. You're going through a really shitty time in life. Maybe you just got divorced. Maybe you just lost your job that you love.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever the case is, and you get down. Well, of course you get down.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
You'll get through it.
Yeah. Wait for the 3 hot blondes that want to jump in the hot tub with you. You'll be feeling just great again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but that's the thing with the disease, right?
Yeah.
Those 3 hot blondes jumping into the hot tub with you, you're just gonna be like, yay.
Well, yeah. Can't you just leave me alone?
Yeah, leave me alone for a minute. You know, like wait till I'm happy and then you can come back. Because that's the thing too, right? Like, I've been offered sexual favors from the wife to try to make me feel better, and it's just been like, no.
Well, when you get to that point of exhaustion.
Yeah, you're exhausted, and you just can't even fathom getting into any kind of mood whatsoever. Even if you just have to lay back and take it.
It would be like, have you ever seen like, you know, those really big tortoises? Like, I mean, those 1,000-year-old, like they're like.
Oh yeah, they're like
every like I watched when I was a kid. I can remember going to the zoo and there was these 2 massive tortoises mating. Yeah. And we were laughing and everybody was laughing because the male basically did his thing every about maybe 5 seconds and would groan. So it was like, ugh. 5 seconds later, ugh. Like, it was so slow, right? Every push. Right, and that's kind of what sex feels like when you're in the worst of depressed times, right? It's like
even Barry White's like, come on, man, speed that up. I can't sing this song.
That's right. So
yeah, no, and as I said, like,
and then as men, that brings us down even further.
Absolutely,
right? Because we're like,
because what else do we have?
Right. Yeah,
we got nothing.
Nothing else. Like, when you've lost interest in masturbating, that pretty much takes everything off the table, right?
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Yeah, but no, and like as I said, like this was this cycle that I went through was by far the worst. Like, I haven't cried in years. In years, I haven't cried. Like, my mother passed away, my grandmother passed away. I had a bunch of people in my life pass away. You know, I had extremely sad things happen in my life, and I didn't cry. There was nothing, I just didn't cry at all,
Did yours go too?
Yeah, just lost an ear. Oh, there we go. Oh, and we're back. Okay, good.
And we're out.
Oh, that's weird.
Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, okay. But, man, this is going to make me cry. But, no, during this cycle, I was wanting to cry the whole time, and there was tears coming, I'm just like, wow, and the thing is I was crying, I'm going to say over nothing. Right, I'm going to use
like when you're in puberty.
Yeah,
we're just out of nowhere.
Where it's like, oh look, a girl smiled at me. Why am I acting like that? I should be happy. Yeah, no, and that was the type of thing that was going on with me, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And honestly, like, my wife noticed that there was something major going on, and she would ask me, "Are you all right? What's going on? How can I help?" And I'm just like, just leave me alone right now. As much as I wanted her to be there, I just wanted her to leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, well, you want to be alone. You're like a wounded animal.
Yeah,
that wants to go out into the forest. And die.
Yeah. And now, something that not too many people actually know, but the one day during the lowest part of this, I woke up the one morning. I didn't even look at my phone that day. Normally, like, if I wake up because it was on the weekend, and if I wake up on the weekend, I'll just roll over, grab the phone, and, start playing around, figuring out what's going on. I didn't even do that day. I just got up, and I'm like, today's the day. And I went out, I had a shower, got dressed, and I'm walking back through the bedroom, and the wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm going out for a ride on the motorcycle. She's like, okay. Where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. When are you coming back? I don't know. Are you coming back? I don't know. She's like, okay, well, remember I love you. I'm like, yep, okay. And I went out and I got on my bike, and I had every intention of riding my bike into oncoming traffic. Just going around a curve and riding the bike right into oncoming traffic and just going from there. That's where I got to. And now I got to explain, for me to get to that spot there, and we have a problem with the camera?
Keep talking.
Okay. For me to get to that was an absolutely huge thing, because I do not believe in suicide. I do not see it as an answer. I never have. But then this happened, and I was just like, this is it. This is where it's going to be. And I couldn't believe it. You know. Nope. Kicking stuff all around the thing. Is it recording? Oh. Okay, that's weird. We're going to have a look at that.
That was like the worst time
to
have that happen.
That's brutal.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, no, like, as I said, like, I'd never believed in suicide before. You know, it was never a thing for me, but that day, I made up my mind. Today was going to be the day that I ended it all.
What stopped you? Like, when you're out on your bike, you're riding, what stopped you from...
Honestly, what ended up happening is, I knew that was my plan. As I said, my plan was, I'm going to come around a curve when there's oncoming traffic, and I'm just going to either cut that curve a little bit shorter, or if it was going the other way, I would just kind of veer out into oncoming traffic, right? What ended up happening is a vehicle went and tried to pass an oncoming vehicle, right? So now I had two oncoming vehicles, and they were headed right for me. And it actually put a little bit of a panic into me, going, holy shit. And I went and I hit the brakes, and I swerved out of the way. And then once I passed it, you know, like, I flipped the guy off, and I'm like, you stupid fuck, you almost killed me. And then all of a sudden, it was right there was that little thought in the back of my head. See, dum-dum, you don't want to kill yourself, so let's not.
Yeah.
You know? And honestly, that's what stopped me. That's what stopped me that day. You know, I spent 8 hours out on the bike that day, just going and riding. You know, fueled it up a couple times and just kept riding. You know, I went way north of here, you know, and then finally came back. And it wasn't until I was partway back that I finally felt better, we'll say. I still wasn't my whole self, but that's where I had gone and landed. And it scared the hell out of me to think that that's how far down the hole I went. You know, luckily from there, I ended up going and talking to my psychologist, you know, after that. And I'm like, yeah, look, here's the situation. Here's what went down. She's like, oh, okay. And we started doing some more heavy talking. We started talking a lot more regularly. And then because Veterans Affairs is involved as well, next thing you know it, they're involved. And there was a whole lot of talking. So next thing you know it, I had about, 40 million different appointments done up to go, okay, is this guy really going to end up offing himself? What's going on? What's happening? How can we fix him? And stuff like that. And honestly, that's what helped get me through a lot of it.
Right.
It still took a while to get over that weekend, but as I said, like, I was pissed off with myself, like, how can you think of doing this? You've never believed in it before. But honestly, now I can understand why some people do.
Of course.
Because I was there. Like, before that, I was just like, no, man, it's not an answer. And I still don't believe it's an answer. Let me be very clear. I do not believe it is an answer, but I do understand now a lot better of why some people do think it is an answer.
Well, because, you don't think there's any other way out.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only answer, right? And I think sometimes, too, like, in my experience, it's when you have a person, especially again going back to mental health,
Yeah.
that is have extreme issues, like really a major depressive disorder or major anxiety disorder where it's every day it's life. I think that a lot of people go to the suicide because it is relief.
Yeah.
That's what they look at, is it's going to be that relief. I'm finally going to get relief.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, you know, if we look at people with, you know, some, again, an ailment, like I keep saying cancer, and there's more out there, but my brain is only coming up with that right now. If you look at somebody that's really sick with cancer and they're so sick, and they get to that point where they're like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Because they just want that relief.
Yeah.
Right? They're done.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that there's times where people, they struggle for so long, and a lot of that is because so many, and I'm going to go back to guys, because, you know, men suffer alone.
They do.
And men don't want, a lot of men don't want to advertise the fact that they are suffering and that they are feeling, right? And, you know, there's a million reasons why, you know, because they think it makes them weak, because whatever, they don't want to be looked at as being crazy, whatever the case is. And so if I can't talk to anybody, if I can't go get help, how do I get relief from this?
Yeah.
How do I, you know, and I think that, you know, you finally get to that point, like that cancer patient that has been fighting cancer for 6-7 years and sick the entire time and on death's door the whole time. Finally, they're just like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. Like I met lots of people that took chemo once, twice, 3 times or whatever, and then they say, if it comes to that again, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to live out what I have, and then that's it. Yeah. And again, I'm with you. Like, I'm not saying suicide is the answer. What I'm saying is there has to be a change to make it comfortable for somebody to come forward and say, like, listen, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through, and not look at it as on like a personal level as I'm a weak person because I'm sad all the time or because, you know, whatever, but look at it as I'm sick. Hey, I have the flu.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I have a headache. I need Tylenol.
Yeah.
And that's going to make my headache feel better, and it's going to give me relief. It's the same thing. Hey, I have depression. Hey, I have anxiety. Hey, I have PTSD. Hey, I have this. Hey, I have that. I need some medication. I need some help. I need some treatment so that I can feel better. I can get that relief.
Yeah.
Right? So.
No, it's, as I said, it can be very, very difficult for people. It really can. And, you know, like we said earlier, you know, it's not just one of these things where you're just like, nope, I'm going to have a better day today and carry on. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And that's the part that really sucks, because I know that I will almost guarantee it. I haven't taken a poll, and I haven't, you know, found out from everybody and stuff like this, but it's just one of those things that you just know that if people that suffer from depression could just go and say, yep, not today, and carry on, have a great day, we'd all do it. Well, and we'd never have the depression.
Yeah, the second you felt it, you'd be like, nope, nope, that's it.
No, I'm perfectly happy being miserable, lying on the couch, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is my big thing to say to people, especially with what you just said with your experience.
Yeah.
If you're to that point, where you're like, my only sense of relief is to take my life.
Yeah.
Then what is the big deal about stepping into a doctor's office at that point and saying, listen, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I can actually touch on that a bit too. Because, as I said, I woke up that morning and I'm like, today's the day. Today's the day that I'm going to fucking end this once and for all. And once I came back, I talked to a few people, and they're all like, bro, fucking, you know I'm here. You can sit down. You can talk with me. Like, I had a number of people say that. And the thing is I knew that I could sit down and talk to them. I knew that I could. I just didn't. And I just didn't want to.
Because you don't have the energy.
No.
It's not... when you're at that point, it's not talking helps. Talking
Yes.
helps in the way. So like when you take like a suicide intervention course,
Mm-hmm.
which I highly recommend for everybody. I think everybody
Yes.
should have it, just like first aid CPR. Okay.
Yes.
Because you never know when that person's going to choke on something.
Yeah.
You never know when a family or a friend or somebody's going to come to you and say, "Listen, I'm done."
Yeah.
Right? And there is a specific way you have to handle that. And we'll get deeper into this when we have like a really in-depth suicide talk. But
Yeah.
there are ways you have to handle and deal with that person. And it's not all about hugs and kisses.
No.
And it's not about just listening to what they have to say. The main thing you learn, just like if you come across somebody and you have first aid and CPR and they break their arm and there's a bone sticking out of their skin and they're bleeding all over the place,
Yeah.
do you say to yourself, "I got first aid CPR, I can fix that"? No, you do what you have to do to get them to the hospital or some medical care so that the professional can take care of it. Because it's beyond your scope.
Yeah.
It's the same with suicide. It's beyond you. You cannot fix that person.
No.
It is beyond you don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't know how to do it. There's a medical way to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So your job with the first aid part of this, with suicide, is you get that person convinced, one, not to do it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can only go day by day, maybe week by week. That's it. You cannot ask for more.
Yeah.
But you got to get them to promise you, "I will not do it today." Okay, step one. Step two, we got to get you to a professional.
Yeah.
What is it going to take to get you to go to a professional?
Yeah.
If I have to club you over the head and drag you there, I'm going to.
Yeah. Yep.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to say, they're going to agree to you that, okay, well, yeah, I promise, like, I'm not going to, kill myself in the next 2 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Will you go to a doctor? Then they get scared.
Yeah.
They get scared right away.
Because they don't want to talk about it.
And they're like, "Dude, no, like, I'm not going to do it. Dude, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it." And then what happens is they leave and you're like, "Okay, no, they said they weren't going to do it. They're fine. They're just having a bad day."
Yeah.
And then a week later you find out they're dead.
Yeah.
No, you need to get them to that professional because, again, suicide is also an illness.
Yes.
That's an imbalance in the brain.
Yeah.
That fights everything we are put on this earth to do, which is survive.
Yes.
Like, our survival instinct is so powerful that we will get run over by something and still fight to live
Yeah.
in immense pain.
Yep.
Because that is our natural instinct, is to survive. So if somebody comes to you and says, "I'm taking my life," they are going against every survival instinct they have in their brain, every chemical they have in their brain, telling them that you need to survive
Yeah.
is not working.
Well, and as I said, there it was. I was there that day, ready to do it. And some asshole, thankfully he was an asshole, tried to pull him past the car right in front of me. Right? And came into my lane and almost took me out right there. And my natural instinct was to hit the brakes, swerve out of the way, because I didn't want to die.
Right.
And that was a huge, huge thing. I might have felt like I wanted to die, but clearly I didn't want to.
Yeah, and listen, there's different levels too, right? I mean, we've all had those days where we think to ourselves, "Man, it would just be easier not to be here."
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between that and I have a plan, I have a time, and I have a place.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Those are the big things. Do you have a plan?
Yeah.
When is this going to happen?
Yeah.
Where are you going to do it? If they have answers to all three of those,
yeah,
you do whatever you have to get them into a hospital.
Absolutely.
Like I say, I don't care if you got to club them over the head and drag them there.
Yeah. Yeah. Club them softly so you don't kill them. But
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, and like there's many, many days, like going along where, I'm still waiting for that phone call from Elon Musk to go and say, "You know what, Greg? We're going to see what it's like for a fat guy to go all the way to Mars." Perfect. I'm in.
But that's just another source of running away, Greg.
Yeah, I know, but I'm good with that one. Just think of the podcast I could do from Mars? That spaceship.
Jesus.
Yeah. It'd take a while to get the, it all back to Earth, but oh well, No. But yeah, no, it's definitely been a tough year. And, that's that's why we got to go and we got to change this podcast up from the stuff that we've been focusing on, you know. And, you know, as we said, like, we went and, like, we had a pretty good discussion. You had a come to Jesus moment with me out in the garage there before we, you know, came down here to do this, because we got back together, you know, at around Christmas time, saying, look, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. You know, we're going to be more fun. We're going to try to stay away from the politics as much as we possibly can. You know, we're going to, you know, just try to have some fun doing this stuff. And then here it was, like, 2 of our first podcasts back, you know, was me running away with the convoy down to Ottawa, discussing politics and shit like this. And I got sucked right the fuck in. Don't get me wrong. It's a very important topic that people need to look at, understand fully what's going on, and get involved with however they can, you know, to, you know, prevent the inevitable. Just look at history. You got to prevent the inevitable. But the thing is, it was dragging me down. And you're like, dude, we already said we weren't going to fucking do politics. What the fuck? You know? And I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. You know, and that's completely fair. There were some good episodes, so I still recommend checking them the fuck out. But, you know, that's why we need to make the change. And it's for us. It's for us, and then those other people that are out there, in particular the men. And ladies, please, as Nate said earlier in the episode, tune in, find out, why is your man acting this way? What is he doing? You know, we'll help explain that, okay? We are open books. You know, we will go and we will tell you everything that's going on, at least in our heads. It might not be 100% what's going on in your man's head, but we can explain. So, I don't know, maybe ladies, if you are still listening to this, why don't you go and throw down, you know, some questions. My man's doing this. Why? Well, we'll try to answer it. You know? And guys, if you have the questions going and saying, why am I thinking like this? What's up with this? Hey, we want to learn more about this. Fucking throw it down. Or even better, I wish my wife understood this. Well, let us know. Yeah. We'll tell your wife for you.
That's right.
We have no problem. Right. She can't find us. Our wives might, but she can't find us.
That's right. And,
you know,
yeah, we are not professionals.
No, not professionals.
Everything
We're just
we talk
two
about
dudes.
comes out of our ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hopefully people will get something out of it, and not every show will be as
deep
as this one.
Yeah, we had a couple laughs, but it was very short. But no, we're hoping to have this a lot more fun while talking about guy stuff.
Important shit.
Yeah, important shit of what's going on in guys' lives. You know, as I said, we're probably not going to talk, you know, a lot about, you know, tools, and, you know, we're not that kind of, you know, podcast.
We don't know anything about them anyways.
we might talk about our motorcycles and going out riding, you know, because, well, that's what we do and it's fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're not going to get right into that kind of stuff. But no, we want to talk more about just what's going on in guys' heads.
Life in general for men.
Yeah, life in general for men. And, you know, we're gonna have some fun doing some of the on the road stuff that we're looking at, because we're gonna turn it into, well, let's just say we're gonna have fun with some of it.
Absolutely.
You know, and go from there. So once again, ladies, if you got questions about why is my man acting like this, let us know. Put a comment down below. As well as, gentlemen, if you got something that you're like, you know what, I wish my wife knew this, let us know. We'll fucking tell her. Yep. All right. Until then, have a good one.
Later.
I got no voice to pick with you.